We never would have left South Africa if my grandfather had still been alive. He was my father's best friend, and his death when he was just 17 years old turned him into an orphan. His mother had died when he was only 2. When his dad died, the sun was ripped from every sky, and my father's life was ash in an angry wind. The panic attack started not long after his dad's death. At first he thought he was dying. He couldn't control his breathing or steady the rooms that spun around him. The doctors ran tests. He was healthy. His only illness, and one of the few things they didn't have a fix for, was grief. There was only one thing that could help his erratic heartbeat find its rhythm, and that was his best friend, Jan. The two had met in boarding school and formed a fast friendship. When my dad returned to school a broken boy, Jan couldn't fix anything. He could only hope to distract my dad with endless games of chess. Jan didn't know it then, but he was saving my dad's life again and again and again. When I see them together today, I can feel my heart expand. These days, Jan has a crazy farmer's tan and hair so wild we call him Jan Einstein. But when they meet after an absence, I can see the strands of 50 years of friendship bind them together in a hug, and I know that there is a certain sense of peace my dad can only find in his presence. Contessa had nothing to hide from me and desperately wanted our help. The message I received over and over again was always, look with your own eyes. Most of the children Esnat helps were orphaned when their parents died of AIDS. In Zambia, 16.5% of the population is made up of orphans. That's over 1 million children left without food, shelter, or love. Not only that, but these vulnerable children are easily abused and otherwise mistreated. Esnat doesn't start orphanages, she starts feeding programs. Esnat doesn't give kids stationery, she provides education and skills training programs to handle an actual job market. She doesn't give orphans pity, she gives them the one thing they can't find on the streets, respect. Esnat doesn't want these kids to survive, she demands they thrive.
Running with the birds would be safer.
One of them was genuinely terrified.
I think for my dad, there's this really cathartic feeling to seeing Jan. It's a reprieve for him. He feels like he can be himself. It kind of takes him back to feeling comforted and relaxed. So that night was a very fitting time for him to be seeing Jan. And I sat across from them while they were talking at the fireplace and just watching them laugh outside and the fire going and just talking bullshit. You know, whatever they talk about, making jokes and talking about school and what's happened to people and, you know, who married who and who divorced who and why and, you know, kind of silly things that you would kind of expect women to talk about. Just to hear them laughing about that stuff was really cool. And it just relaxed him in a big way. And I think it reminded him that no matter what happens now, where you come from and who you are, at the root of yourself, like not who the world thinks you should be or not their impression of what you are, but who you really are. That's what matters. And being surrounded by people that remind you of that is a really powerful thing. This trip has been far more difficult than any of us could have predicted. We can feel ourselves becoming more and more emotionally and mentally fatigued as the days wear on. The things we are seeing are not what we had envisioned. There is more sadness and destruction than there is hope. We are deep in the heart of Africa, and home feels a very, very long way away. I find myself obsessed with the stories. I play them in my mind at the end of every day. I have no urge to look at makeup or worry about what I'm wearing. All the materialism from my old life disgusts me. We have been infected with a huge dose of reality, and there is no antidote. About an hour ago at 6:15 and it's 7:15 and we've gone about 35k and we can't spot him, and it was raining really, really hard, so I don't know, we're just gonna turn around and try and get back on the road and see if we missed him or something. So yeah, it's a bit concerning. There's not a whole lot on this road. It's the A2. I think it's still the A2. Actually, maybe it shifts out of the A2 now.
Let's go back to breakfast.
Pretty bad out there. This gentleman opened the gates for us, so it was very, very nice of him. Thank you, thank you. So I only had 30 pula in my pocket, but I just gave it to him because he seemed really sweet, so that was really kind.
Well, it was just storming and I was just looking for shelter, and this guy, luckily the dogs were barking, so he came and opened the gate and told me I can go in the caravan, but I was waiting for you people, and the first time you people went past, I ran out but you were gone already.
Oh, I wasn't panicking, but I was getting like materia on and I was worried. We're gonna go have breakfast. Dad needs to warm up. He's very, very cold. A bit shaken up, I think. What's this?
Shit. Trying to turn around. Unsuccessful. Check mark.
Somebody made a boo-boo. When the hell did this happen? Holy crap. That's bad.
Doesn't look good.
It's not a good day to ride. There's many things I've learned from my father, but none as significant as to live the life that you want with no exceptions, no almosts, and with no regrets. He is a man who has spent his life fighting against the odds. He lost both of his parents at a young age. He had a career in the military before committing himself to studying medicine. Failing several times, he resorted to studying by himself and continually retook his exams until he passed. He moved himself and his family to the opposite side of the world to avoid apartheid in South Africa and in search of a better life. Always an avid participant in sport, he found his passion in adventures, and there his heart has forever stayed. He cycled across the Americas from Prudhoe Bay, Alaska to Tierra del Fuego, Argentina, cycled twice in the Furnace 508, 508 miles through California's Death Valley in 48 hours. He's run over 40 marathons with a best time of 2 hours and 48 minutes, 2 10 Ocean marathons, 9 Comrades marathons, 2 Milo Corkis, and 2 Ironman triathlons. My father has completed the 7 highest summits in the world: Kilimanjaro in Africa, Aconcagua in South America, Mount Elbrus in Europe, Mount Vincent in Antarctica, Karsten's Pyramid in Oceania, Mount McKinley in North America, and Mount Everest in Asia. At one point, he was the oldest Canadian in the world to summit Everest. His life is a roadmap of struggles, but alongside them are even greater successes. I couldn't imagine all the things his eyes have seen, all the aches his body has felt, and all the pain he still holds in his heart. But what I know is that he is still going. He is living his life his way, no matter what anyone says, thinks, or does. Everyone has an adventure in their life, a goal, a crazy idea, but there's only a few willing to chase them. What I know for sure is that my dad is one of them.
one of the challenges with wildlife medicine, especially when your goal is for them to stay in the wild, is when to intervene. And so even before I went to go look at this elephant, I had in my mind, what are some of the things that I'm looking for that would mean that I can do something, that I can help. The problem with a wound or an injury like this is that if there's a big nasty wound, if there's a snare, there's something we can do something about.
She is eating, but I'm not sure about drinking. I don't know if she went to the lake before she came out here. So we're just going to try to find and look for her. And then she can see herself. Hopefully she can see the wound a little bit closer by. She has her binoculars with her. And if she sees that it is possible to remove the bullet, because what we then have is like the bullet itself, and we can match it with the poacher. Okay. And then he can go on trial. It would be great if we have the bullet, but if it will harm the elephant more, then I don't want her to do it. But it would be a win-win situation if it's possible to operate her, get the bullet out, treat her, and then the coming days I'm just going to monitor her, and then we have the bullet.
When we went out and saw her, it was obvious she is very, very lame on that leg. She's having a hard time picking up the foot, and also she's just not being able to bear much weight on it. And even though she can move around, she's eating, she went out with her family, it's obvious that her mobility is very limited and that she just is in a lot of discomfort. We're looking at her wholly. You could see a place in the ear where it looked like the bullet went through. And so I was following that to the other side of the ear and then to the point of the shoulder. And it did look like there was a bullet entry. It's something that you might be able to stick your finger into.
It's an organized crime. A lot of people think it's the poor Malawians who needs money and feed the family. It's not true. These guys, they don't care about animals, they only care about money. They have big houses and cars and they just want to have more and more money. So it has nothing to do with feeding the families. Not anymore. Maybe it was in the early days. Then there was the real hunting. These poachers needs to be punished. And in Zambia, in Kenya and Tanzania, the poachers can't choose to pay a fine or go to jail. Here in Malawi, they can still choose. And that's for us also hard, because then of course they choose to pay money. They will get their money somewhere. And then they are back on the street, or in this case, in our bush the next day.
Animals that are big like that don't do well on 3 legs. And so it will be causing a lot of extra stress on the rest of her body, especially her front left. And you can already tell that in the way that it's a bit wobbly at times. So when there's this overall stress and imbalance in the animal, you think, okay, so if I'm going to anesthetize this animal, I need to have a really good reason, because that's going to add yet another stress on top of it. And that could be what puts them over the edge. So unless there's just a really, really good reason you think this is going to make the difference in this animal's outcome, then and you might consider against an anesthesia. And that's what I did today. And I chatted with, I had asked for, when I heard about this story last night, I emailed friends that I knew down in South Africa who are wildlife vets and said, what is your recommendation? They said, gunshots, you usually leave them unless there's something obvious to do. And I called another friend today and said, hey, this is a situation. She's like, yep, I would give it at least a week, make sure she is hanging in there and eating and moving at least somewhat and staying stable. But I agree, there's the benefits of an anesthesia and what you might do is not going to outweigh the risk. And when they're already on the line, you just want to try to support them as best you can. I suspect that the problem, instead of an infection or something like that, for her is going to be just the overall stress of not being able to move and being under a lot of pain. That doesn't mean that we need to rush out and euthanize this animal. I think giving her some time is fine, as long as she's eating, moving, and maintaining body condition and stuff. I think you can give her some time to hopefully heal. If it becomes obvious that she can't do that, then you might consider a different course of action.
I'm just looking forward to meet the guy who shot him.
It was difficult to find someone willing to take us to the albinos because many of them live in secret. Their lives are a constant battle to evade the human hunters. Eventually, I was put in contact with Miss Happiness, an albino herself, so that she could take us to the villages to meet the albino children and their families in their homes. We had to be careful not to be followed, and we were instructed not to tell anyone about the project. What we found changed us forever in every way possible.
All this killing of albinos, there is the impact of witch doctors.
Themselves, they are saying it is the impact to killing albinos. Some of them, they believe themselves that if they kill albino and take the part of the albino's body, for example hand, then they are taking them to the witch doctors. Then they believe when they take there, they are going to become witches. As well as in this year, they are going to steal for the general election.
Yeah.
They believe that if they get albinos, some of them, they are going to get good posts in the government as presidents, prime ministers.
So the government, there are government officials that are believing that...
We don't know who are they.
Yeah, you don't know who.
Yeah, we don't know who are they, but we wonder, near the election,
why?
yeah, why every time near the election?
But there's an election this year.
Yeah, this year. Yeah.
When you walk in the streets, do people say things to you? Do they ever call you names or?
Sometimes, yes, but not that much.
Does it make you scared or just you ignore it?
Because I appreciate myself, I used not to care.
That's a good answer. That's a very good answer.
Wherever I go, anywhere, I must have someone with me. I fear for my life. That's how it is for all people with albinism. They fear for their life. And that's why there are schools in Shinyanga region, there is Tanga region, Mwanza region. There are schools where people, the children with albinism, are being sent by their parents there. I call it dumping place. They dump them because they never come back. The children can't stay there without love of their parents. They must be taken by their parents. It's terrible. Wherever you go there yourself, you'll cry. It's terrible. Terrible. For them to stay there. It's terrible. Well, they are saying that people with albinism never die. They disappear. Which was not true. They were being killed after birth. But they were killed because in those lake regions, wherever they feel that having a child with albinism, it's a curse. So therefore they kill them. The first thing which is needed is awareness, education. All those regions are lake regions and the regions nearby. Education must go there deep down to know who are people with albinism. Why are they white? We are white because we don't have melanin, but we are human beings. It's a genetic condition. They are needed to be informed. They don't know. If they know, they'll be friends with us. We'll be familiar with them. They won't kill us. They think we are ghosts. That's what they say. You people are ghosts. You are not human beings. is for those people with albinism who are living very far in the villages. They must be removed to the area where there is a people around because they are staying very far. The attackers are coming, they do whatever they do, and they run away. No one knows till late. But if people stay in the area of rural areas where there are people around, those attackers can't come. They can't do the killings around there easily. People think that where we are born, we have these scars, or we are pinching our eyes, or the teeth are coming out. It's not there. They don't need to be like that because of sun. Sun is the problem. That's why they look like that, their faces. That's not how they were born. When you see an albino baby, very beautiful baby, albinos are beautiful like any other people.
Feel bad even at sleeping time. Because once we hear someone knock the door, we feel, maybe they want to take Sophia. So the families who having the albinos, this time it is very bad time for them. We are living like, you know what, animals, small animals in the forest. We were just waiting. Maybe the lion will, once the lion will pass, the end of my life. We're living like that.
I have hope and I'll fight for them. I hope one day the killings will stop. We are human beings like any other people. We are human beings.
The A33 is an experience that we just didn't expect. This road is something beautiful. It's something truly special. And I know it'll always be a part of this trip that I'll remember forever. That was incredible. We were just driving up and then we just saw these giraffes on the side of the road. I actually just saw one. And then I realized they were small giraffes. And then there was this huge big daddy. Anyway, they're really, really shy. So we tried to get as close as we could, but these are wild giraffes. It's just amazing to me that we get to do this.